Fellas, welcome to part 2 of the money making series that I've been working on. Part 1 was making consistent money with bossing, and this video will focus on skilling. Now, making money with skilling is interesting. If I made a graph where the y-axis focused on the amount of GP per hour and the x-axis focused on the level required, it would almost be a perfect line. I've been thinking about how to structure this video, if I should do it by level or by intensity of the activity, but I think the solution is to use this little bar at the bottom of the video that will give you the details you need to make a decision on which method you'd like to use. And on top of that, I'll cover AFK stuff at the end of the video. But with that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is drift nets. If you've never done drift net fishing, you might not know that it is the most efficient way to train both fishing and hunter. But that's not actually what we're doing today. We're going to be making the drift nets. These nets get used up so people who are trying to train efficiently go through these like hard candies at a retirement home. Making these is quite easy. You'll need some starter cash to buy the jute fibers, but you can make about 1100 nets per hour, making you about 420k. Haha, weed. With a low requirement of only 26 crafting to make the nets and 29 construction to actually build the loom on Fossil Island, this is a great method. It's also 60,000 crafting XP per hour, so if you're at a low crafting level and want to bump this up, this is for sure one you should try out. This one is one most people might not even consider trying, and it's gem mining. Funny enough, this is actually how I did 99 mining. I didn't even do it for the profit per hour, but the pet chance, which I didn't get until 26 million XP, by the way. To make this as much GP per hour as possible, you want to use the gem mine under Shiloh Village. This does require the completion of the Hard Karamja diary, so if you don't have that done already, maybe that's something you want to work towards so you can try this method out. This one is pretty click intensive, but it is very profitable and pretty good XP per hour. I can't give you an exact estimate because this will vary a lot based on your mining level, but you can expect at least 200k an hour at a bare minimum and upwards of 500k at the higher end. You can even push this method to close to 1 million GP per hour with tick manipulation, but I am far too lazy to do that. The only thing I'll say if you decide to do this method is do not forget to bring a charged glory. This is a silly little mistake, but you will notice it if you don't have one equipped. Another method you might not even know to be profitable is the blast furnace. You can actually make GP on almost every type of bar you make here. Iron bars can make you 400k an hour, steel bars 900k, myth bars 800k, adamantite bars 900k, and rune bars a whopping 2 million GP per hour. This is a very click intensive activity, but the XP is pretty good as well. I think most people will likely be familiar with smelting gold bars here since the XP is just nuts, but the blast furnace is so profitable because it requires half the amount of coal that you would typically use to make a bar. The official blast furnace worlds do have a coffer, so you will need to pay to use it. But even with this fee, this is a great one to get some smithing levels and good GP. And now we talk about the big boys, the big skilling moneymakers. These all come from skills that everybody hates: runecrafting, thieving, and even agility. The first one I want to talk about is the Hallowed Sepulchre. This place becomes very profitable when you hit the 5th floor at level 92. The Ring of Endurance is the big drop here, but all the small drops along the way really add up. But with the 5th floor accessible, you can now make over 2 million GP per hour while training agility. This place can be very frustrating while learning, but it is actually one of the best agility training methods in the game, even with looting. Looting all the chests from floors 2 through 5 will average out to be about 350k per run over time. But I'd really recommend, if you do decide to do this, that you only loot on floors 4 and 5. This will give you more time to complete the lap while only dropping your profit by about 30k per run. You can do about 6 to 7 laps per hour, netting you 75,000 agility XP and some other small XP drops in thieving, prayer, magic, and even construction. This method is very click intensive and does require some understanding of pathing and movement, but this is one of those activities that you will either love or hate. You've really just got to try it out and see if it's for you. For thieving, you have 2 really good options, Elves and Vyres. These are both really good money and are pretty mindless. You will be clicking a lot, but you don't really need to think about it. Pickpocketing is very straightforward. Use the menu entry swapper to have the left click be pickpocket and spam click for hours. While pickpocketing, it is extremely beneficial to use the rogue's outfit as it will double your loot. This includes every single possible drop, from coins all the way to the big ticket items. With Elves, I like to use the house right next to the POH portal. This is great if you have your house in Prifddinas and also have an ornate pool. While pickpocketing Elves, you're praying for the Eternal Crystal drop, as this will make up a majority of the money you make here. And with the Rogue's outfit, you'll be getting 2 of them every time you actually pull one, making your profit roughly 2 mil an hour at 99 thieving. Unlike Elves, at Vyres, I bring food here. It's not as easy to go back and forth between your house and the thieving location. And their unique drop, the Blood Shard, is much more expensive, and you are still getting 2 every time you get one. It will take you much longer to see your first drop. Thieving is great for money making, but the success rate is going to be very frustrating even if you're at 99 thieving. At 82 thieving, which is still a pretty high level, you can expect your profit to half. Vyres are very similar to Elves, where your profit is about 2 million GP per hour, so it's really up to you to decide which one you want to do. You can increase the length of your trip by using dodgy necklaces, and you can also increase your thieving chances by using the Shadow Veil spell. I personally don't do this because it makes an already click-intensive method even more click-intensive. But it will 100% increase your profit per hour. With thieving, you have to look at it long-term. You might pickpocket for 9 hours and make a total of 1.5 million GP, but in the 10th hour, you pull 2 blood shards. Now your profit per hour is technically 2 million GP. This one does not have any instant gratification, so it's up to you if you want to do thieving. The other big skilling moneymaker is Runecrafting. And of course, if you know anything about runecrafting, there are 2 real good moneymakers. The first is doing blood runes with the True Blood Altar. To make the most out of this, you need 77 runecrafting, 78 mining, and 93 agility. The agility is required for shortcuts, and this will make your profit much more per hour. For blood runes, you can increase your profit per hour by using the Remnants of the Eye. This will give you 60% additional blood runes, and you can also use Blood Essence. When you use Blood Essence, it gives you a 50% chance to craft an extra blood rune per essence. With no Remnants of the Eye or Blood Essence, you can expect to make 4,600 blood runes per hour. With the Remnants of the Eye, you can expect an additional 2,700, and with Blood Essence, you can add another 2,300 on top of that. This makes your profit roughly 1.7 million GP per hour, as well as giving you 48,000 runecrafting XP per hour. This is a pretty good method, and if you're still needing to train runecrafting, this is definitely one I'd recommend. Your other big moneymaker for runecrafting is Wrath runes. This one will definitely not be for everybody, but if you are working towards maxing, this is not a bad option. Wrath runes require level 95 runecrafting and the completion of Dragon Slayer 2. You again can increase the amount you make per hour by using the Remnants of the Eye, but without it, you can expect to make 6,300 Wrath runes per hour, and with it, you can make an additional 3,800. This brings your profit all the way to 2 million GP per hour. This is one of, if not the best, consistent moneymakers for skilling, but it does have the highest requirement of any other activity. And to wrap this video up, let me give you some AFK options. Unfortunately, there is no great AFK option to compete with the millions of GP you'd get from other methods, but for some people, myself included, being able to do something AFK lets me do it for more hours than I would do an active activity. A really good one is cooking. Cooking almost anything will be profitable and great XP per hour. If you remember the graph we made at the beginning of the video, this is very similar for cooking. Higher level fish will obviously be more GP and XP per hour. But that's not the only way you can make money from fish. Fishing has a lot of great AFK options. Anglers are 300k per hour, Karambwans are 200k, and Infernal and Sacred Eels are both about 200k per hour. Fletching longbows unstrung is also very profitable for almost every tier of longbow, and is very AFK. But stringing them is actually more profitable at the current time, so something like stringing magic longbows is about half as AFK as cutting them, but stringing them is about 400k per hour. And even ewes are close to 400k as well. A method a lot of people might not even know about is using the degrime spell on the Arceus spellbook. This spell will degrime an entire inventory of herbs, offering both magic and herblore XP. This one won't be for everyone, as you'll need a large chunk of starting cash to do this, as degriming something like Torstals is a profit of 1.7 million GP per hour, but has a buy-in price of 55 million for 1 hour. You can do this with every type of herb though, so if this is something that interests you, Marantils have a profit of 200k per hour, as well as giving you 30k herblore XP and 49k magic XP, with only a 1 million GP buy-in. On the same train of thought, Magic also has a lot of great AFK options for making money. Tan leather is 1.3 million GP per hour doing red dragon hide, humidifying clay is 800k GP per hour, and even casting plank make on mahogany logs is 400k per hour. You have a lot of options for making money with skilling. Some will be better GP and some will be better XP. That is just the nature of the game. The most important thing to remember when picking an activity is to pick one you enjoy doing or can at least tolerate. Because if you only do it for 1 hour, is it really worth doing at all? In the next money making video, I'd like to talk about finding the raid that's right for you, or even finding a boss with an expensive unique that might be your thing. If that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. A special thank you to my YouTube channel members, DTech, Dino, and Snacks. If skilling isn't for you and you'd rather make money killing bosses, there's a video on screen now for making consistent GP from PVM. I've got nothing left to say, so I'll see you in the next one.